I just unmuted. Hello, everyone, and welcome. Welcome to the second round already of the bracket. I'm international master from Romania, Alex Banza, and I have my the other host here. And you may want to introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Lisa Orlova, and I'm a woman candidate master from Canada. Happy to be here. We're very excited for the upcoming games. Today is going to be Softenzug versus Coupang. So Softenzug is actually a Microsoft team, and Coupang is just a Coupang team. So good luck to all players today.
Yeah, and I'm already following the game between Fublando and Vahi, and we have this sort of French defense pawn structure on the board. So to me, it looks like Black is trying to steal that d4 pawn here with a move knight takes on d4. So the main point is that previously, Black is can take the pawn, but it wouldn't really make a lot of sense because White has this nice trick of picking up the queen at the end with bishop to b5. So
So White, in that case, decided to give up the bishop pair.
yeah, now
But I
Black
know that
is totally fine here. I think. So yeah, Black
you have the
already
knight.
is doing quite well out of the opening. I think funny enough, this days on move 7 they actually started playing short castle instead of taking on d4. It's like a funny new computerish line, just sacrificing the pawn that way, because Black is supposed to be fine after what Black played with this bishop d7 move. And yeah, now it's just like without the light square bishop on the board. The problem for White is that there is no attack, and
Yeah, yeah, but I can't blame White though in this case because I feel like when it comes to gambits, I feel like if you are a more competitive chess player, gambits are really good for you. But for a person who doesn't play all the time, gambits may not be
yeah, I mean
the way to go.
generally gambits you don't see them very often in competitive chess, but this was just about this very specific line because here White may seem like it has a space advantage, but at the end of the day that might actually end up just being some overextended pawns in the center rather than a space advantage. Because now Black just seems to be ready of playing b5, b4, something like that. But yeah, I mean gambits. Yeah, unfortunately for a lot of the chess fans, are not that sound over the board. But yeah, this one could have been one of the cases where the gambit would have been fine. But okay, now we see g4. Knight h4. I was thinking maybe taking that bishop from e3, because now White usually can take on h4 and then play f4.
Mhm.
So this is kind of speeding up White's initiative. But now bishop g5 is something that.
I actually like that move because the bishop on d7 isn't the greatest piece, but of course now Black is quickly trying
Yeah,
to
exactly.
mobilize that
Yeah.
bishop on d7.
The on the other hand, though, now you're kind of losing some control over the d4 square. So the bishop on h4 was maybe a little bit out of the game at the moment. So I don't know. Now Black seems to be grabbing the initiative on the queen side. Can we switch to the other games of the match? I think that would be
Sure.
interesting to have a closer look on the other games as well.
Yeah, of course.
Uh,
There's one game that for some reason is currently not in
oh,
session.
someone already won. I actually see a decisive result. So can we see what happened there?
Sure, let's take a look.
So QJax just won. So we had a Karo
This
Khan.
Yeah, sadly to say, there is a really huge rating gap between these two players. 1800 and 600 is basically, an advanced expert chess player versus more. So,
Yeah, definitely.
and then
I
you get
mean, basically, black just has the triple rating of white here, so it's. I mean, it's already, as you said, it's quite a big gap. So we see a Caro-Kann, but this line actually with D3, funnily enough, is actually one of the main lines of the Caro-Kann Dust Days, which, I mean, this line just looks insane, but I mean, if
Oh,
played properly.
I used to play it. I used to play it as a kid, where you quickly trade off queens, play like pawn
No,
c3,
really. I
take
mean, that's like
pick
really
two.
popular these days, and like some really heavy theoretical battles here. For example, I mean, not after the move bishop to g4. Like the main move here is to play knight to f6, and after knight fd2. They managed to come up with this computer's g5 thing, just trying to grab some space on the on the king's end. I mean, the theory is really well developed here already, although it seems like quite an offbeat line at first. But for some reason, I managed to lose the moves from my board here, so I'm not sure if I can get them back. Because I tried to play g5 and then do the analysis board thing, but now I actually don't have the
Okay.
rest of the game. So maybe we just go to Caesar Red, okay? It was planned. We just switched to Caesar Red.
No. So just next time, just draw arrows, and then do a Nakamura impression where you have a crazy amount of
Okay,
arrows on the chessboard.
I could do that. I could do that. I was thinking like since the game finished, I could maybe analyze something. But okay, looks like this game is going to be over against Caesar Red as well. Looks like Caesar Red is just mating. Wow.
Well, this is
So now promotion with checkmate. Now he can promote to a rook and have 3 rooks on the board. I would promote
yeah,
rook here. Oh, I just promoted
yeah,
Quan. Okay, that's fine too.
double check.
Yeah, so actually this time, can we look at this game without me spoiling all the analysis board? Okay, let's try. So we have this b3 Sicilian. Just a quick look. So black won the e4 pawn. Yeah, it just looks like...
Usually if you play like b3 and bishop b2, you tend to not play e4. It's more sound to play like e3.
Yeah, this is... Yeah,
e4.
it's tricky. I actually like this line for white when black plays for the second move e6. I think it makes sense because then you can't really attack the e4 pawn in this fashion. But after d6, black does as he got in the game the structure based on d6 e5 is shutting down the bishop from b2. So this is supposed to just be fine for black. And then it looks like white hang the piece, and then black actually just won. So let's just go to the live action. So we have what? We have black. Black just won. Black just won here in the French. So we might have missed something. I think we dropped this game after the move b5 and then knight h4. Yeah. So they traded bishop and we left when he played b4. And knight e2 was played by white. I was actually expecting a b4, but knight e2. And then now black is activating this light square bishop.
I like what white was doing, because the knight on c3 didn't seem like it was doing too much. Looking at the b5 and d5 pawn, it has to come and do some action. But I wonder if not knight f. Knight f4 was fine. No, that's my.
No, I mean it just looks like he's dropping the d4 pawn, and with that the whole position. Yeah, it's just, I don't know, white was already in a difficult position out of the opening, to be honest. But yeah, I mean, probably instead of maybe this bishop g5 to play f4, because as I said, bishop g5 is making the pawn from d4 feeling a little bit more loose. So just, as in the game, it ended up collapsing. So maybe I had a good feeling about the position, but then I mean.
But here trading rooks would have been fine, right? Before playing knight.
Yeah, but okay. I mean, you're giving up the c file. It doesn't look ideal. Let's say, but okay. I mean, that knight could actually be scary. If it lands on h5. The knight can actually be quite scary combined with a queen. So speaking about...
I was actually going to make a point that I do kind of like knight g3 more because
yeah, it's letting your queen breathe a little bit more. I mean, the knight on f4 was just blocking that queen. Yeah, so here, I mean, also that it's worth mentioning how great the cooperation between queen and knight is, because usually sometimes the queen and knight can be just devastating compared to queen and bishop. I mean, obviously the queen and bishops are very strong when creating the battery, but yeah, I mean the queen and knight can be really deadly when cooperating like this on the king side. So yeah, trading first in C8, as you pointed out, was very solid alternative, but yeah, it didn't happen, and then white just lost the d4 pawn, which was the key point of the position. So yeah. By the way, do you have any idea if we have the last game of this match, or it was already played? Because
I tried following the two players. The one player is in live, but the other person is not. So I'm not 100% sure if the game is going to be on. I'm just gonna quickly check with our organizer if they know anything. Maybe the person pumped eyelash. Maybe he I don't know. But 1 second.
yeah, I see. So yeah, looking at maybe Cesaret's game. Okay, that was the we already discussed it, and okay, that was the car kind that I messed up.
Well, I mean, we can just do some commentary before, like, I mean, just commentate on the kind of the competition. So, in this case, the thing is that for the team Coupang, they have one extremely strong player, and then they have another intermediate player. So, excuse me. But the problem, like, I mean, I'm not 100% sure how this match is going to be because Microsoft actually has quite a very well balanced team because their team is between 1,500 and almost 2,000 rating, right? So very close in rating between all four of the players. But then if you look at the Coupang team, they basically have two players that that are strong, but the other two could potentially
Yeah, I see.
not do as well. But at the same time, chess is an interesting game, right? Like anything can happen. There have been a lot of upsets in different tournaments, right? Like I remember when I played in Iceland back in 2013, in first round there was like a 1900 chess player drew a 2700, super GM in the tournament. So
Yeah, no,
I mean, anything can happen, right? Like even if there's an 800
no,
gap.
definitely. Like this brings me bad memories from one of my latest tournaments. I mean, it was maybe like one or maybe even 2 years ago. But like in the first round, I was playing someone like 1600, and I mean my rating was, I think I was like the second or the third seed of the tournament with 2400, and the guy, like I couldn't really even touch him. Like the 1600 guy, just we played a like 5 hours long game, and like he was defending with imaginative moves. I mean, like he was just the game. That game was like insane. I mean, usually like I win the first round, but that game just is proving exactly what you've said, and yeah, I mean anything can happen. So we should stay tuned for the upcoming rounds. So yeah.
Anything can happen too because maybe the stronger player will pull a Botes Gambit.
Vote
We
as a
never know.
gambit. I guess we're about to see that.
To those of you who don't know the Botes Gambit, it's when you lose your queen for accidentally, but for no compensation whatsoever. So
Yeah, that's a good opening. So yeah, I mean, are we going to get the next round soon, or is it starting in like 10 minutes? What do you
I
think?
was just I was just
Because I mean,
I
I could be explaining this lovely French position for a while, if that's the case.
Yeah, no, actually, one good point before that maybe we should make a note of was that earlier on, White in this game with Fablandu, he couldn't play bishop e3 to protect the d4 pawn. Like in some of these cases, right? It's hard to
Yeah, so let me just point that one out. So you mean in this position, yeah, bishop e3 would be a way to defend this, but then the b2 pawn hangs as I guess that was the point that you're trying to make. So
yeah.
it's really this whole line is really awkward to play as white, and here actually the best thing to do is to actually just gambit the pawn and play short castle. This used to be like one of my main lines when I was a little bit younger against the French. I used to play short castle, and after knight takes d4, I think the main line used to be knight takes d4, queen takes d4, and then the move queen to e2 for a while. And then somehow black is fine after a6. So then they managed to come up with this idea that after knight takes on d4, you don't actually want to take the knight. So you just want to play this knight b to d2. That is like the modern handling of this line, or at least it was like 5 years ago, played by Topalov in one of his games.
So Alex, we actually got we got our last game for for this round. It
Okay, so
just
let's.
started.
Okay, so who should I be following?
Pumped eyelash.
Okay, pumped eyelash. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm following. All right. So enough with the French speak. Yeah, with the French
So
speech.
sorry, guys.
So, okay, we have like a king's queen's Indian actually, more or less. So let's see. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm a big King's Indian fan, but I played some Queen's Indian as well.
Also, my recommendation for anyone who just plays chess for fun, play non-mainline openings. Like if you're not a super serious chess player, it's more important to understand what the moves that you're making rather than memorize lines. Like what white was playing before was a pretty theoretical opening, right? In the previous game.
You mean
So-
the French one? Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty
Yeah,
theoretical.
the advanced French. Yeah, it's very very fashionable actually.
Yeah, but I don't recommend it to people who don't have time to memorize mainline openings because you know.
Yeah,
if you
yeah,
don't
I
know
see, I see, I
mainline
see.
openings,
Yeah,
you
that's
could get into so much trouble.
yeah,
So much.
that's important. Yeah, that's why I'm also recommending sometimes openings such as the London system. Although in order to be playing the London system ambitiously, it requires quite a lot of preparation and understanding of the subtleties. But you know, just to play a London to get your pieces out, it might actually may be easier than playing 1e4 and then having to know a lot of openings such as the French, the Caro-Kann, the Sicilian. What to do against e5 or against the Scandinavian. You basically just end up needing to know tons of theory just to get a game. So with openings, as you said, not so mainline, such as the London system could be an example. You're just killing more than two birds with a stone in this case. So yeah, that was a good point. So we're actually going to end up maybe having the hanging pawns after c takes on d4. It's actually not going to be the hanging pawns. That would be if white wouldn't have a pawn on the b file. But
the way that black was playing kind of reminds me of like the hippopotamus setup, like before he played
no,
C5.
yeah, it's actually more like a hedgehog now. So it's kind of similar, yeah. It's actually gonna just be a hedgehog if black just goes c takes on d4. So yeah, as you said about the openings, another way that you can try to learn chess in general, not learning theory, it's by learning pawn structure. So such as this one, if black would be to take on d4 here, and after the move knight takes on d4, we will arrive in the hedgehog pawn structure. And that is a typical structure that can appear from various openings, and just knowing like maybe around maybe 5 to 6 pawn structures, you'll actually cover a lot of ground from the from the chess game. I mean, it's obviously not gonna save you from having to memorize theory at some point, but it's gonna give you a very good idea of how what the plans are or where you should be developing each of your piece. So this would be very important.
I have a quick question though. So here for black, could they potentially be thinking about playing b5 now and trying to play on the queen side? Because I'm not too familiar with the hedgehog opening, but
Yeah,
I
that's
know
that's
I've heard that
definitely a
they
plan
play
that
the
you go for in the hedgehog. So as you said, b5 now. Okay, so black goes for knight h7, which seems to be the kind of move that's running out of ideas and tries to exchange pieces. And now it would be okay. White tries to keep the pieces on the board.
ooh
Interesting.
f5.
Yeah.
Okay, blocking off the bishop.
Yeah,
Doesn't want
blocking the bishop. Usually, when you see this kind of move, you think to play something like d5. So then the e6 square feels a little bit more vulnerable. But maybe black is in time to just play e5 and block the whole structure. Because opening up the position, even if you're winning a pawn, it feels very risky. Because you have so many weak squares. But yeah, d5, e5 seems to be fine. So maybe as white here, I'll try to stay more flexible, if possible, and maybe come up with even the slow play with a3 and b4 might not seem that bad after all. So yeah, as you said previously, here after I think it actually was some moves ago, after bishop b1, rook c8. As you said, b5 is definitely an idea that you wanna focus on in the hedgehog. So let's imagine that cd4 94 is the hedgehog pawn structure. So it's either b5 or either d5. Those are your two pawn breaks that you're focusing on. Sometimes also you want to maneuver this way with rook c7 and queen a8, bring the other rook on the c file, and then once you double your rooks, you can go for this b5 because the rook on c1 will be hanging, so you can use that pin. So yeah, I think we should stick with the game though, because white is spending a lot of time. So this is actually a very interesting game. I think the match situation though, I think they already won the match, right? I might be wrong on that. I'm not sure, but yeah, this game is
one
very
second,
interesting.
let me check. Q jacks one.
Okay, so we get knight g5, trying to trade off the knights and lengthen that diagonal for the bishop. I actually love that bishop on the diagonal. That's why I would be thinking to just play d5, try to close it right away. But then the problem is e5 again, and oh, bishop d6. That black just hang the pawn. Black just hang the pawn now.
So actually, this is the decisive round because right now, if Pumped Eyelash ends up winning, then it will be tied.
Oh, I see. So pumped eyelash does not really seem like winning yet, but
No, I know, but you were asking about like
yeah,
how
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah, yeah. I
results
mean,
are right now.
I'm wondering. So okay, we have rook f7. So white managed to win a pawn. Now it would be a good time to pause and just whenever you win this kind of pawns, you tend to make a quick move and then spoil your position. So now would be a good time to just gather your thoughts and go for the not get overwhelmed by the emotions of being on the verge of winning. So
Yeah.
bishop e7.
So I'm not 100% sure if trading.
Yeah, they
When you
traded.
are,
They traded. Okay.
I don't know, but when you're down material, I think it's important to try to keep as many pieces on the board
Yeah,
as
definitely. Yeah, that's very
possible.
important to create as many chances as you can for a swindle. So if you guys are not aware what the swindle means, it's basically when you're coming back from a losing position and you manage to either draw or even win. That would be like what you do. What would you call a swindle in the chess game? So you can't really swindle in a king and pawn endgame where you're down a few pawns. But if you're keeping as many pieces as possible and trying to give your opponents as many ways to go wrong as you can, then that's actually going to be tremendously increasing your chances.
So I don't
Yeah.
know if you noticed this, Alex, but even though Pumped Eyelash is down one pawn, but like look at White's position. They have the knight on the back row, the bishop on the back row.
No, I
It's
mean,
just
I'm
really
looking at White's position and also I'm looking at White's clock. So this is actually what bothers me more. So Black actually, as you pointed out, has some very easy moves. As black, you just want to play g6, get the rook on the e file, and then play knight f6. The d5 pawn might drop, so I mean it's really tricky to play for white right now.
Yeah, the e3 pawn right now could potentially be like the d5 pawn is obviously under attack right now, but I mean also thinking about that e3 pawn that could potentially become a weakness if the rooks get doubled up. And the knight getting to e4, a really good outpost square, could also be
Yeah,
an option.
definitely. Yeah, definitely. So here I would just play g6 as black, defend that. By the way, like a very beautiful square for the knight. Let's say somehow we manage to trade off queens. I'd love to have my knight on d6. So if I could get my knight on d6 and then the rook on e8,
Yeah.
I mean I could even just try to create a blockade. And I mean even if I'm down a pawn, the pawn deficit would not really be that felt. If I manage to
That's
blockade that pawn effectively, and if you have no way to make progress, then it doesn't really matter that you're up a pawn.
That's
Um,
actually a really good point, Alex. So, that you showed regarding the knight getting to d6, because it's really important for anyone that is watching the stream right now. But if there's a passed pawn that you are worried about, it's good to use a knight as a blockader, and
yeah,
not
yeah,
either
exactly. Yeah, that would be like
knight.
the best blockading piece, as you said, the knight. I think
The knight
it's
can still be active because the knight can
yeah,
still
yeah,
be
yeah,
active
yeah, exactly. So
while.
so generally the queen would be the worst, but I mean white just played a great move. It just played e4, did not allow black
Yeah.
to stabilize, and now white is just crashing on the king side. So let's see
But
this.
sadly to say that that's what happens when there is a rating difference. Like even me, when I play against someone who's 300 rating points, I could get a very good position against them, but then sometimes you just don't have the energy to push, or like you don't know what to do. You know you have a good position, but then you
Yeah,
don't know
it's
what to
it's
do.
tricky. Yeah, it's tricky because even though the position is good, they are maybe playing faster. They are putting pressure on the clock. I mean, it's tricky to get the final touch. But here, yeah, I mean, White seem to be playing a great game overall. To be honest, it's hard to point out any flaws, any mistakes that White did. To be honest, that e4 move was very well timed.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah, queen g6 and queen h7 is just
yeah,
it's
that's
I'm
gonna
su-
hurt. Yeah,
oh, okay. I'm surprised that queen g6 was not played because
yeah, that
it's
was
very
that was
hard.
fine, but it's just on collecting pieces mode, which is fine
Yeah,
since
but
he is upper rook and can just
I
trade.
know, but it's important. It's important to win the game faster than win the game fancy. Like Yasser Serouan likes to say, he's like, you better, because if you try fancy, sometimes you might make a mistake
Yeah. By
if
the way,
you
though,
go.
are you aware that we have a new game in play between QJax and Naren?
Yeah, I guess it just started.
Yeah, it just started.
I assumed that that because this game was still in session.
Yeah, but they seem to start. So I think we can have a look on that because White is just going to win here. So let's just go through the opening. Oh, so we have a bone cloud. Wow, we have a bone cloud by QJax. So the favorite having some fun here. They're going for the bone cloud. Wow.
That's kind of like what Nakamura would do.
Yeah,
When
yeah. It's
especially
that's
against a much lower rated opponent, he'd probably play the Bong Cloud.
Yeah, yeah, that's fun. Okay, but now it seems to be just much better. Anyways, it doesn't really matter that he opened up the game with a bone cloud, but yeah, black, didn't. It's actually not that bad here. I mean, it's obviously not great for white, but even after the move d5, white can play d3 and try to keep it solid as a bone cloud can be, but. Okay, so d4, yeah, I don't know. It's just like white played the bone cloud, but then actually played very serious chess. So especially this knight b4 move is what seemed to be a problem for black because it's moving the same piece twice in the opening without gaining anything in particular. So you would
And
actually,
A3.
Yeah, just you would
And a
actually just prefer to either develop your bishop or maybe play a pawn in the center. This would have been way more beneficial than this knight b4
every
move.
move should have a purpose. That's the motto in chess. You try to have a purpose for every move that you make, and if you don't know the reasoning behind your move, then maybe it's best not to do it and look at something
Yeah,
else.
I guess also black mouse slit. So wait, do we have a game by Pumped Eyelash? So it started the second game. Wow, they started the second game. So this one since
Yep.
black mouse slipped, I think it's going to be a win for the Q Jacks. But I mean, big shout out to Q Jacks for going for the bone cloud. I guess you don't really see that every day, especially in corporate
Yeah.
events, right? So
Yeah.
so yeah, let's go to Pumped Eyelash. So we have a Queen's Gambit, a more
Oh, there's
standard approach by
another game that just started for round two. The 2300 is now playing against 1700. Obviously, the rating is not super close, but anything can happen still. 1700 has pretty good chess knowledge, so should be a good game. Do you see the Vey Mausoleum?
I'm trying to follow it right now.
Okay. There's one game that
All right,
we were
I'm following that game as well. So, yeah, this game looks to be having a bit of a slower start. Although I like the white's push on the queen side, I think we can switch a little bit to the higher rated game. So we have we have a Karo Khan, which is one of my favorite openings, maybe for both colors. And we have this bishop f5. Wait, quick c5. Castle short. This is actually a very theoretical debate. I'm not sure about this b3 approach though. I'm not sure about this b3. Usually they tend to combine this with c3, but b3.
or what about bishop e3 or
Yeah, bishop e3. That's also fine. Bishop e3. It's also fine. I think it was better to just play bishop e3 instead of castle. I think that's the ultimate main line. But yeah, bishop e3 also a move, but b3 it's kind of not really fighting for the center. And now knight e7 is fine. Maybe it would have been a little bit better to just take on d4 and then play knight e7, knight c6. But I like knight e7 anyways. So they trade, go knight c6.
e5 hanging, or is it like before earlier on when he did knight takes d4? Was
When
the
he
pawn
did,
on e5
yeah,
or
it is hanging, but I mean it's quite risky to take it because white gets
no,
into.
it's not. No, it's not hanging because after knight takes f5,
Oh, knight takes
we lose a
a5. Yeah, yeah. I mean, anyways,
right.
it's always tricky to take that because you're running into any bishop b5 check motives and then some c4, and white tries to open up the position. But I really like the way black played this. I mean, just showed very nice understanding of where all the pieces should stay, and now he just has a very solid game. So even though he's 1700 player facing a 2300 one.
Oh, queen b6. Do you think queen a5 would have been better?
Yeah,
instead
I
of
would have
queen b6?
considered queen a5 definitely. Queen a5 was also a move. Queen b6. That's also fine. I guess the point is to play rook c6 next. Try to double the rooks. Maybe I would be considering actually a move such as bishop a3 next, trying to fight for the c file. So it's important who's controlling the c1 square is actually controlling the whole open file. So okay,
Yeah,
we
I
have
noticed
knight
that.
b1, just stopping that idea. Okay, rook c6, they doubling.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
the 1700 is doing a really good job against this 20.
Yeah, he played.
300.
He just played
Solid.
very solid overall so far. So let's see if he can try to push him, and it would be very easy to just trade and go for the draw here as black. But let's see if he's going to try to play for more.
Excuse me, guys. I'm just gonna quickly get some water, and I'll be right back.
All right. So yeah, I mean, black I guess could.
To chess.
Black could maybe try to go for f6. And if white would be to take, then bishop takes, then d4 pawn would be hanging, but white can simply reinforce the center by going f4 if black goes f6. So I like queen a5, attacking the rook. I mean, not really planning to take that, but mostly, keeping the pressure on the c3 rook while also attacking the a2 pawn. So this is what is actually more important. So white is having quite an awkward choice to make. I'm guessing maybe a4 to be played, just to not lose that pawn and keep the tension. So that would be my guess. But then black can go for this kind of bishop b4 move and still be annoying. Force white make a concession. Maybe he can still just play rook c2. I'm wondering.
If black trades everything, I think the bishop would be better than the knight in this case, right? Or is it kind of unclear?
Yeah, I mean, it's if they trade everything, it kind of seems drawish to me, but it's still not a question if you can actually trade everything, because I might take with a pawn on c6 and then play for the c5 break. And if I manage to trade that c pawn for the d pawn, then I'll have this defended passed pawn on d5 that could be very dangerous in the endgames. So yeah, I'm waiting to see how black is going to play this, because bishop b4 seems to be the move, and then white can simply retreat. And I'm wondering if black can go for more there. I would probably consider a move such as a6, or maybe even creating a loft with like an h6 move. So I'll never get back rank checkmated. So improving my position slightly.
Do you think I guess there's also maybe even an idea of playing bishop to g5 too.
Oh yeah, that's also a thing that I forgot about completely.
Maybe
bg5, yeah, that's something. I was just looking on the queen side, but bishop g5 is definitely something to consider. So okay, he plays bishop b4. I'm guessing rook c2 would be played, just keeping the tension. And then okay, yeah, it makes sense to just make a loft with h6 or g6. I would actually prefer h6 over g6, because whenever I play g6, if a queen somehow lands on d8, then he always has this motive of perpetual with queen f6. I mean, this is obviously not looking to be very likely in this position, but I mean, it's just like once you...
Well, also, I wouldn't have played g6 unless you have a bishop.
Yeah, exactly. That's also a thing. So the point is, with g6 you're weakening those dark squares, and to me it just seems like you're way more vulnerable to any perpetual check if there's like a queen endgame appearing on the board. So with h6, it's
like in the dragon, by the way, it's kind of recommended to not move the e pawn.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, you don't really need to touch that. Like, I mean, very rarely. Like, one of my biggest problem was, I think I started with a dragon as a 10 years old. That was maybe like the first Sicilian that I learned. And I tried to play it in my tournaments, and I didn't really know how to play the dragon properly. And I just went there, I flanketed my bishop, and then I think I moved my pawn to e5. And then they just ended up closing my bishop and also weakening my d6 pawn. And I used to lose a lot of games in that fashion by advancing the e pawn. So that's a very good point made by you there. So yeah, here we have black kind of squeezing white here. I mean, the rook c6, queen c6 would already be a lot of progress for black, winning the c file. And I mean, slowly white's pieces are just very passive.
Do you think maybe white's best chance here is to maybe try something like f4, g4, f5?
You mean after the rook trade?
Yeah. To try something, because I don't see that white has too much that they can do on the queen side. So maybe they should reevaluate their choices.
Yeah, they could do that. I mean, but I mean, still, like, you're not going to maybe achieve that much, because you can't really. I mean, you can push your pawn all the way to f5, but then you also need some pieces there. So like, it seems really tough to bring that b1 knight in the game to me. So okay, now I'll just be looking to play rook c2 as black, to be honest. Just okay, he goes for h6. I mean, black is playing this impressive so far. Wow, a6 now. I mean, just not rushing anywhere. Is just This is very, very good play by
Is
Black.
there a reason why Black, I guess, isn't playing Rook C2 right away? Is it just because there's no
I think
reason?
he's just
Well,
no
now,
not rushing with it. Can we
maybe now
switch
he
by
can
the
play.
game? Can we switch by the way to the game pumped
Sure.
eyelash a little bit? So you have that
Yeah.
game that we left in the Queen's Gambit, and it seems that pumped eyelash might actually be the one taking revenge. Actually, no,
Mm.
I don't think he's playing the same opponent. I might be wrong with that, but he's actually looking very in a very good position right now with that passed pawn on c5, looking to push
Yeah.
it even further on c6. So
The bishop is sadly really dominating in this
yeah, you
position.
know what
It's
I'll
not
be
always,
considering? I'll actually be considering queen d4 with ideas of g4, trying to just win that knight that will be pinned.
and that's
Uh,
another reason why not having the e7 pawn is a problem.
yeah, it's just seems to be the theme of the day already, not having that pawn when you have the fianchetto. But yeah, I mean, let's see what black will actually do here, because if white gets in that queen d4, it can get really ugly because there is simply no way to unpin that knight. I mean, you can play queen d8, I guess, but then the c pawn is very fast and annoying. So yeah, maybe then we can even switch to play bishop a4, and the bishop is supporting the c pawn and also blocking the a pawn.
I
So
think maybe black should focus on the weak pawn on e3 and try to play something like queen e6.
yeah, that's
And
maybe
then,
an idea, but white sometimes can even play king f2 and just try to defend it. But it seems like black played king g8 in order to avoid that queen d4 pin. So I like black's move.
that's good.
But by the way, I also want to point out that Pumped Eyelash has 3 minutes up on the clock. So that's actually going to be a really huge advantage here, because with only 40 seconds left is going to be a very tricky job. And by the way, Queen d4 now with the idea of Queen takes a7 just comes to
Oh,
mind.
yeah.
But then we have to be careful because e3 might be hanging and we lose all the pieces. But just that's just an idea. Just keep that in mind. Don't do it immediately,
Yeah, no,
but prepare it. That would be actually very something very nice.
I was actually doing pawn breakthroughs with my student like a few days ago, and there was a lot of like queen sacrifices to quickly get another
Yeah,
queen.
so he's going for it. Let's see if
Uh,
he's actually maybe going to take on a7 next. That would be a huge blunder, but I don't think he's
well,
going
he
to
could
allow that.
prepare for it. Prepare for it, right? Like he could play maybe king f2
Yeah,
next turn.
king
He
f2,
doesn't
that
have
would
to
be
move right
great. Yeah,
away.
yeah, he doesn't
He
have
doesn't.
to, but we'll see. Yeah, so this queen takes a7 is a nice way to break through. As you said, okay, so just white can simply collect the knight. Let's see if it's gonna happen or not. Okay, so it just collects the knight. So yeah,
Yeah.
white just seems to be winning. So another
Yeah,
thing that
no.
you can do for like pawn breaks, I think it's that common theme where you like sack the rook and you get two connected passers on the sixth line on the or the third line. And then it's just like the rook can't stop the two pawns if they're advanced enough. That's also something that I enjoy doing. And first time I've actually seen that theme was when I was on the rook side that couldn't stop the pawns. So that's, I mean, I learned that one the hard way. I can tell from my experience. So queen d4 h3. I mean, black is trying his best chance with that a pawn. So let's see if white can keep his cool here and just okay, he might actually be able to win the a pawn after rook a1, but we'll see, I guess. So can we go to the Caro-Kann game? I mean, black is still squeezing his opponent here, and this is such a long, and I mean, black plays this.
Yeah, but still 11. Ooh, I mean, 11 seconds. That's going to be very, very hard for the lower ranked person, because I mean,
Okay, they're going for the king and pawn endgame. h5.
it can be
Okay,
tricky.
what is winning now? Wait, what is just going to win now after b4? It's a Zugzwang. King gets to f4.
Yeah.
Even g4 wins because of the outside passer. So you sack the h-pawn and the king comes closer.
Yeah.
Wow, white completely turned this around. So from defending the whole game, finally this is a heartbreaker for black. Wow.
But if Sai had more time, I really think that the game would have been like a draw earlier on. But
No, I think he was pushing it for the win, actually. I think he was pushing it for the win, like around here. I mean, he was clearly pushing. It's just that he ran out of time and then tried to... I think at this moment, like, you have no reason to allow the rook trade. I mean, just play something like h5. I should not make the move, but you just play something like h5. If rook goes on e2, you just can avoid the trade and even win the pawn. So I mean, just in this type of situations, if you're not sure about the king and pawn endgame, you just avoid it. And with the rooks on the board, it's always going to be a draw. I mean, there's just nothing that you need to calculate. So okay, can we also the other game finished with a white victory?
Actually, I think everyone round 2 is currently finished.
Yeah, we actually finished. So what was the result of it?
Let me see. So, Cesart. 1 second. I'm just bringing up the Cesart 0-0. Oh, sorry, Cesart. Yeah, 1 Q-Jax. Is Q-Jax playing? I didn't see the game with Q-Jax. I think he won, right? Q-Jax won, Sai lost. And...
Yeah, Q-Jax was the legendary bomb cloud.
It was equal. Round 2 was equal.
Oh, it was equal.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm trying to make the text fit on the overlay. It's kind of tricky.
Yeah.
Okay, text. So we had the bone cloud, and we had the Karo Khan win.
Sai lost in the second round. Big 0-1. It was huge.
Okay, that looks good enough.
Yeah, sorry. By the way, to anyone, to those of you who are watching, let us know how we can improve the stream, like technology-wise. If we're having any issues, let us know, and we'll improve for the following stream next week.
Okay, so it's 0-0 on Cesaret. They haven't played.
No, they did. Cesaret won.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Oh, then I guess, sorry, then... No, Pumped Eyelash won in the second round. He won against...
Yeah, that was... yeah, that's... I need to fix that.
Yeah, no worries. No worries. I don't think any of the games have started anyway, so we can... well, not necessarily take our time, but you were saying earlier that you had to learn a lesson because it happened in your game and you were the losing side. But when I was a kid, when I was a very young kid and I just started learning chess, I remember that my dad always, before a tournament, he showed me how to protect against the 4-move checkmate. Because, like, I was very new. It was, like, the first 3 months I was playing.
Yeah, I mean, that's...
Like, this is how you protect against the 4-move checkmate. And I'm like, no, Dad, I know how to do it. I can protect against it.
No, I mean, yeah, that's...
and I fell for it. And then after that, I never fell for it ever again. But sometimes you have to fall for it to stick into your mind.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. Like, I have this saying, like, the first time you get third moves checkmated, the first time you deliver it, and the first love you will never forget. So it's like only these 3 things. So I mean, you have like a special feeling for any of this, but like, I mean, I remember like I was like maybe around 6, and I was playing one of my first tournaments, and somehow just someone just checkmated me in 3 moves, and I was like feeling really bad about myself. And then the next round, okay, I mean, let me try actually use the same trick against the guy, and then I do the trick, and then I won, and I was like having this kind of crazy thought that maybe chess is that easy. But yeah, I mean, it didn't really work that way always. But yeah, I mean, that's I guess something really common, right? The lower levels, this aggressive early queen attacks. Like, I also remember when I was playing, I was doing that kind of strategy where let me actually try to get a game of e4. So I'll get to this board. So on e5, I was going queen h5. Like, I was doing this on a regular basis. And after queen h5, a lot of my opponents would just say, okay, let me just attack your queen, and then I'll be taking on e5 and winning the rook. And like, I did that so many times. It's crazy.
Exactly.
It's crazy, but at some point,
But
like,
I mean, but didn't Nakamura
yeah, he
supposedly
played
doing
that. Yeah, he
forward
played that. Yeah, I think
is
he.
actually pretty good.
Yeah, he played
It's like
like queen h5, knight c6, bishop c4, g6, queen f3. That whole line. I mean, knight f6, queen b3. He has like maybe one or two classical games with it, but yeah, I mean, black is supposed to be fine. Okay, so we have a new game actually. We
Yeah.
have Pumped
Yep, we have a new
Eyelash
game
just starting, interrupting our
started.
queen h5 lesson. What
Oh,
a
I'm
pity.
pretty happy. I'm pretty happy that Pumped Eyelash is doing quite well, because I also was thinking that he was going to be the underdog against the other team, because he's a 1400 player, but everyone else on the Microsoft team is higher rated than him. But as you can see, anything can happen.
Yeah. He's playing a
Once you
Slav
beat a
defense with
1600.
knight f3, and I'll actually invite you have a look on the Vahi against Q-Jacks, because this
Yeah.
is the big derby of the round, and looks like we're not going to have a Bonkla this time by Q-Jacks. So it's going for the Karo Khan. So okay, Vahi repeating the same line that he played in the previous game, but instead of c5, Q-Jacks goes for this. Okay, knight d7 with c5. Okay, same b3 by white. So okay, now usually you combine knight d7 with c5. Knight d7 with c5, it's pretty new to me. So this b3 idea, trying to just develop the bishop on b2, I guess. Or maybe play for c4. Yeah, that's also could be an idea. But I was actually maybe a bigger fan of bishop b2 there.
I'm more used to playing these lines as white when the pawn is on e3 and not on
Ooh,
e5.
now it's
Usually,
actually gonna be a disaster for black after cd5. That was accurate. Now white's just gonna push the pawn to e6 if black is not going bishop to e6. This can get pretty ugly because white has a big development advantage. So after like bishop e6, white can take and just target that pawn immediately, and you're like 3 moves away from castling, which is pretty bad. Think about the fact that white has already castled. So yeah, this is very
I
dangerous.
yeah, I personally speaking, I know that there's a lot of chess openings for white and black where it's acceptable to have an isolated pawn, but I never like playing openings that have an isolated pawn. I know a lot of strong players, they sometimes like to play without an isolated pawn, but now that he's traded off that light squared bishop, I feel like that d5 pawn can get into trouble.
Yeah, I mean, black is up a pawn, but the problem is that
Yeah.
his king is still in the center, so rook e1 is the way
Yep.
to go. And yeah, then it's gonna be, I don't know, it looks very shaky. So yeah, speaking about the isolated pawn, personally speaking, I loved to play with the isolated pawn when I was younger, because it's giving you a lot of dynamic possibilities, and I
Okay.
I also read a book on that topic. I think it was by Alexander Baburin. It's simply called Isolated Pawn Structures, and it's just
Okay.
like a 300 pages book about that specific structure, and I just kind of learned all the plans there, and I felt very comfortable with the position. So again, as we earlier were talking about the hedgehog structure, the isolated pawn is another big pawn structure that you can learn, and you can get it from a big variety of openings. And this is what I
Mhm.
basically did. I learned that pawn structure, and against the Karo Khan, I structure my repertoires in a way that I'll get an isolated pawn. So I was going e4, c6, and then c4. And if d5, I just double take the pawn. And then I'll have the isolated
Okay.
pawn on d2. So that's called the pseudo Panov, and it's actually pretty decent opening. And it's just that I knew the plans pretty well. Then I didn't have to learn the theory against the Karo Khan because I just play a position that I know the plans. Uh,
I feel like if you are a more lower ranked player, you shouldn't play openings that give you like pawn structure disadvantages because unless you are 100% confident in
Yeah,
yourself.
that's the thing with the isolated pawn. It could be your strength, but it also could be your weakness in the end game. So yeah, it can be very good if you're having some activity. But once the queens are traded and if you get lesser and lesser active possibilities,
Ooh, this
then the pawn is just going to get weaker and weaker in the end game, and it's just a static weakness as you pointed out. So yeah,
yeah.
personally speaking, I kind of hate the playing with the isolated pawn right now, but I used to be playing with it a lot, but not anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's
This game
brings
has
good
been
memories. Yeah, knight f5 looks very scary now. Bishop f8, for
yeah, take
example, would be
G7,
running into like
G7.
bishop b5 or something, and then knight e7, knight d6 could be a smothered checkmate. That would be
Oh
that would be
yeah.
really unpleasant to see. So I'm talking about a line like this. So
Yeah, this
and then this.
G7 pawn is a little bit in trouble, and
Oh,
I'm
he went
worried
he
if
went
he
bishop c5, check, okay, king h1.
sorry?
Oh no, he went bishop c5 and then king h1. And now let's see.
Yeah. Well, I just mean in general that playing G6 would be pretty bad here as well. Just of course because of the stuff going on the E file, but also because Bishop B2 can just come in and potentially harass that rook on H8. So this knight on F5, it seems like it's staying there for a while,
Yeah,
at
no, the knight
least.
is just having a full vacation there, like an all-inclusive on f5. It feels like you're never gonna get rid of it
Let's take a
in
look
the
at
near
the
future.
eyelash game because it seems like it's going quite well for for Cesar, right?
Yeah, Caesar Red, he's up something. He's up a piece, looks like.
But wait one second. But I'm wondering why didn't Pumped Eyelash play pawn b4? Am I missing something?
In
Didn't
what moment?
so earlier when the bishop was still on e4 before rook c1. So queen takes d4. Oh no, later. Sorry. It's instead of 22 rook
Oh yeah,
c1 to
instead
play
of
pawn b4.
well, there's knight a4. Wait, let me actually think
Oh,
about
there is
this.
knight no, but then the bishop on e4 is
No,
hanging.
b4,
So
maybe I just take on f3.
but then you capture on c5 with the pawn and the queen is under attack.
Yeah, and then I'm thinking maybe to play
Oh, but
like
then the bishop captures back and attacks the queen. Okay, yeah, it might not be so
no,
great.
no, I
Yeah.
like maybe play just queen c6, I was thinking. But okay, it would have been definitely better than what happened.
Because I'm always looking at removing the defender, right? Especially when there's only one defender on a piece and not multiple defenders. It's easier, right? When there's only one defender.
No, definitely. Now white actually has a huge threat of going rook c8. and
Yep.
winning.
But I think just cat. Oh, the queen. Right, the bishop was endangered. Oh no, no,
Yeah,
no.
no,
But could it be
it was fine. Yeah, it was
castle?
castle was fine. Yeah, this is
Because
also fine. Yeah,
rook
this is
is
also.
hanging.
Yeah,
Because the rook
rook
was
was hanging,
hanging.
so black could
Yeah.
just castle here, as you said. Queen h4 would allow black to just collect the rook. So queen d8 instead, it's also fine. Just trying to trade queens. Now, queen g5 would not be great. I would be looking to trade queens, but that would allow rook c8. But again, black can simply castle and then maybe go queen g5.
Yeah.
Okay, so looks like black is just winning here. Can we
Yep.
switch to maybe the gameplay between Fublandu?
Oh, Fublandu. Okay. Yeah. Let's
Yeah,
take a look.
Fublandu. Okay, so
Ooh, there's the bishop and the rook on the same diagonal. That could end up messy, quite messy.
yeah, it looks very shaky. White can maybe start collecting some pawns. Although the d3 pawn is still keeping some hopes of counterplay there. Like
That's true.
maybe if I get my pawn to d2 and then rook on e1, then I mean, it could be a turnaround. So we actually have already a decisive result between Sei. So I'll actually need to update the score. Let me do that.
Yeah, and in this position for black has to move the king into the corner. Otherwise, if the king just goes to c8, it just allows the windmill situation to happen.
Yeah, the windmill. Yeah, that's actually I always forget about this word in English. Like I know it in Romanian, but this term of calling that that tactic, that's actually a very useful one that I just learned because I never learned it in English. The windmill. That's actually very good. So
Yeah.
that's actually like maybe one of the cutest chess motifs, right? The windmill. That's like really impressive. And it's like so simple, but it looks so complicated in the same time.
I've only had it happen in, the what is it, 8, I guess now 17, 18 years of playing chess. I've only had that happen like 2 or 3 times. Like
I
in
think
my
I
whole
think I never got it, to be honest, but like
Oh, okay.
I've solved hundreds of puzzles with it, but like unfortunately never got it. But looks like white just blundered here. Looks like white just blundered the rook. Simply
Yeah.
I simply try to deal with the d pawn. Oh, he actually just got forked. I mean, still rook f7 keeps the pieces, but
Yeah, rook f7.
but I mean the
problem
600
is
guy is winning. Do you see that? Do you see the swindle?
yeah.
Do you see? Are we seeing the swindle now?
Yeah, but here's the thing that I would still not be black should not be overconfident, because a lot of the time when there's a huge difference, white can still potentially maybe come back. But
No,
as
yeah. I
long
mean, I'm
as
really
black
curious
does
to see
not,
how that's gonna happen here. I'm
I
really
know, I
curious.
know,
Like
I know, I know.
I'm excited.
Well,
Oh, so we have another decisive. So okay, Q Jack's lost. So actually, bad karma maybe happened after the bone cloud. So I'll need to
well,
just.
so there's a significant rating difference. Oh no! And as you can see, black just played pawn
Yeah,
e6.
it's still fine. It's still fine. I mean, no, I mean if he takes it, still up a knight. It's still up a knight. It's still
I
fine.
know, but why didn't White at least capture? Because then he could at least bring his king closer towards the center, maybe capture that d3 pawn, and he will still have a few pawns for that knight.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe White is trying to,
And
to
maybe
play
it's
for some
just
checkmate. Maybe White
just
is
a
trying
misclick of
to keep
White.
the swindling chances by keeping more pieces on the board. Okay, I'm just trying to update the scoreboard meanwhile.
Yeah, no worries. Take your time. Honestly, I think it's the time. If you're not used to playing if you're not used to playing, fast-ish time control, like I grew up not playing Blitz. Like my dad was extremely against playing speed chess because he believed, well, my dad also followed like the strict Ukrainian Russian way of coaching chess.
Yeah.
So, and Blitz he claimed would hurt my classical chess. So I almost didn't have any experience
Yeah, it's always
with.
tricky with that statement. I don't know, like if you're watching interviews of young prodigies such as Alireza Firouzja or other young players, they say that they played the Blitz most of their time, and they feel
Oh
like
no,
it
it's
helped.
decisive. That's it. This 600 is winning. Yeah, no, this is pretty decisive now. Um,
Yeah, and actually, it's gonna just tie the match. This win by the 600 is just gonna tie this
yeah,
round. Actually,
interesting.
I'm gonna put the
I
scoreboard. I'm gonna call it early.
I feel
I'm
so
just
bad. But at the same time, you know what? Knights are extremely tricky because I remember when I was growing up, my dad explicitly just gave me knight forks. He's like, if you memorize how well a knight can fork, like you will do really well in
yeah. I
chess.
would
And like
say
knight
maybe
forks are hard.
okay. Bishops are maybe strong once you pass that 2000 rating mark, but I
Yep.
mean below 1800. I mean knights might actually be underrated, to be honest. Which
Yeah.
is, it's like sounds kind of dumb to say, but it's maybe practical. Like people tend to miss a lot of the forks. So
By the way,
yeah.
I'm glad. Oh no. Okay, so I have a feeling that for Blandu he should have played on because stale. Like I don't know, maybe like he should just give up all of his pawns
Yeah, that's
try
something
for
you can
stale.
try to do, but okay, he just resigned, so I guess it's a little
No,
bit
no, no.
pointless
I
to.
know, I know.
I mean, here she
But
still has plenty of tempis with the pawns, but like I actually have a funny experience. Like when I was playing one of the Romanian Super Leagues, I've actually seen a stalemate trick live. Like the guy was. It was the position in a way. There were a lot of pieces on the board, but the king had no moves and the pawns were blocked. And he simply went for the crazy rook and crazy queen sacrifice, and it just stalemated with like the opponent having 3 or 4 pieces on the board. And that was like the guy that played for Stalemate, I think, was a grandmaster against like a 2300. So the game was quite high elo, let's say. But that's like really rare. That's like actually really rare. But yeah, that
well, I
was
mean,
surprising. Yeah.
this 600 is, in my opinion, he is underrated. 100%
Yeah.
underrated.
By the way, can you help me with the results from the first round? It's the only one that I haven't updated yet, so it looks like we might get some seconds, so I could maybe update it.
1 second. I do not have it memorized. Well, 100%. The Vayhem he won that round.
Oh yeah, okay.
That one I know 100%.
I think Q-Jax also won.
Yeah. I think it was. I think I'm pretty sure that round one that Microsoft won because let me recheck 1 second. I'll open up a new.
Q-Jack and Caesar at 1, I think, and then also maybe Pumped Eyelash won. Oh no, maybe no.
Let me
Maybe not.
let me. I'll just check. Just I will check and you just continue on the round 4 if it starts, okay? I'll try to find it and I'll let
Yeah,
you know.
sure.
1 second.
So I think I only need the Psy game against Pumped Eyelash.
Yep, I'm gonna check. Pumped eyelash.
Okay, so looks like the Joe Beers
Started.
playing against
Oh,
Sai.
yeah.
Oh, it got aborted.
Sai won in first round.
Okay, I'll just add that one.
Yep. Sai won in first round versus Pumped Eyelash. Yeah.
Okay, so then it's going to be complete. That actually looks not bad. Wait. It looks bad now.
It's okay, Alex. Like we'll like we are learning from the commentating.
No, now it actually looks very good. So let's just go to the games because we have a Grand Prix attack, which brings me some very pleasant memories. That's also one of my starting openings. I don't know why I feel like all the openings that we get on the board, it just seems to be one of my starting openings for some reason.
Like nostalgic feeling.
Yeah, I mean, not really nostalgic. It's like a good nostalgic. I mean, nostalgic, it's kind of bad, right? Or, yeah, I think that's.
No, it doesn't always have to be bad. Nope.
No, okay, can be good nostalgic. Okay, then it's maybe that. But yeah, I mean, here the thing is how white should be handling these positions is going e5, blocking the bishop, and then just trying to go knight a4, attack this pawn from c5, which is very vulnerable. So I've had so many games with this theme. And actually, like, black is even supposed to go for d6 here, and you would still go for d3, queen e1, and then knight a4.
Oh, yeah,
and then just block this.
Yeah. Exactly, with d5, because I know with b3 situations, you also play knight a4.
Yeah, and you just go c4, block this pawn, and then you take it. It's literally that simple. And like, they can try to go knight f6, knight e7, but at some point you just go b3, bishop a3, and if sometimes even, I mean, you go queen e1, f2, somehow you just win that pawn. Okay, so you go z5, that's very good. This is a good opening by Q-Jacks.
Yeah, black has to play d6 in those type of situations because it's very hard for white to aim the c6 pawn.
Yeah.
It's very easy to get the c5.
Yeah, d5 was a very committal decision. Let's just put it that way. So now after e6, you can just see that. Okay, d3, that's also fine, but then b3 plus knight a4. Knight a4 immediately is also a thing. Queen e1, white gets like so many ways of playing this position. Okay.
Ooh, this is even worse because
now c5 is just hanging.
Yeah, c5 is hanging, but also
even g4 is a move now. Kicking this knight with the idea of going knight d6.
Ooh, yeah, you just. Would have been a great move, knight d6.
Yeah, he played. Anyways, it's just completely winning for white. Just black's. He's down a pawn, and this bishop is just dead on g7. So maybe can we get to the other games, such as the one between Naren and Fublandu? So what do we have? We have a French defense, but with bishop on c4. Okay, that looks to be a great French defense. So let's see. Actually, we actually get the Najdorf. I switched to Sai's game. We have Sai playing the Caro-Kann first, but now going for the Najdorf. So he's
by the way, in the Fublandu game, it's quite interesting because like the pawn on e5 is gone because the queen can't go to e2.
Yeah, exactly, because there's c4. Yeah, the bishop gets trapped with c4, so white's already in a lot of trouble here. So let's just go to the Sai game because it's very interesting. We get a Bobby Fischer attack with bishop to c4. So this is something that Robert James Fischer used to play a lot. It's not that common for these days against the Najdorf. But it's again bringing that good nostalgia that's in the air. So after queen e2, bishop to e7. By the way, most of the times you retreat with the bishop on b3. So like a common trick that white plays for, if bishop b7 happens, you always have to like be aware of this bishop takes e6 ideas. Usually when the bishop is on e7, because the knight takes and then knight takes on g7. So we get bishop to d3 in the game. Queen e2, e5, that's a good move. Oh, but then it's not a good move actually because the knight hangs. It would have been a good move if the knight was on d7. But now the knight on d4 just drops. bishop e3, and now black can just take the pawn, and this is just a win for black. Okay, can we get the Q-Jacks game? See if we get any updates. Knight takes on d4.
Sure. Yeah.
By the way, why we don't have the fourth game? I think they haven't started yet, right?
No, they've all started.
They've all started, so
every single game is currently playing right now.
I don't see the Caesarette game.
Yep, they're on. I guess you're gonna have to follow again. Maybe there's a glitch and
yeah, I'll have to follow Caesarate.
Sorry about this, guys. So like
oh, I'm following it. I'm following it. Okay. Don't worry.
Today is taking over the stream. He's and then next week, like we're taking turns. Like he's right now drawing the arrows and showing the.
No, I mean I'm enjoying the arrows and this kind of stuff. I'm enjoying being the arrow guy.
Oh, it's yeah. I mean, but we generally take turns, so
yeah.
That's why he tells me like what game.
Yeah, exactly. So, by the way, do you see this game played between Caesarette and Vahi?
Yep.
So here, I mean, why not take with the king on f2? Because the king is just going to d4 in this French. And, you know, because we're having an endgame, the king is actually going to be really powerful there. So you know, as Steinitz said, the king becomes an attacking piece in the endgame.
I actually have a quick question because some people don't believe that if the queen gets traded off early that it's an endgame.
Well, I mean, you can call this many ways. Like, some people like to call this a queenless middle game. This is, though, an endgame because the bishops are going to get traded anyways, and it's like two rooks and bishops. But yeah, I mean, sometimes you have the situations where you trade queens very early on, and I guess you could be calling it a queenless middle game if there are like more pieces, but I mean here there are like very less pieces on the board, so yeah, I mean, I kind of like to be honest, queenless middle games. Thinking about openings that you can get them, it doesn't really come one to my mind. Maybe you know what is a queenless middle game? The Caro-Kann line that we talked about with d3 very early. That could be a queenless middle game because you still keep a lot of pieces on the board and it's an interesting game. It's just that you don't have the queens. But other than that, I don't really get any quick ideas.
That's why I was wondering, like, what your opinion was, because like, I've known different. I've met a lot of chess people in my life, so everyone has their own opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I like it generally. Like, I think when I used to be younger, maybe I was preferring to always have the queens on the board. But once you practice the end games more, you kind of get to understand them better. And you know, even if sometimes you're afraid of trading the queens against a lower rated player, maybe because you're afraid to not make a draw. But I mean, most of the times it's just the best decision to trade queens and play a better endgame. And it's just that, you know, because there are less pieces on the board, it doesn't necessarily mean that the game is heading to a draw. So, I mean, it's just like...
I think most of the time higher ranked players have better endgame knowledge than lower ranked players.
Yeah, that's about the endgames. That's also about the technical skills. So, like, I would say that maybe about like the strength of the players is measured in like how much they need to actually play for a win. So like for a very strong player, he could be playing for a win maybe with like a slightly better pawn structure, when, you know, for someone lower player rated, he needs to be like up a piece or something. But like the very strong players needs actually very little to play for a win, like maybe a pair of bishops or something like that, like really small, not really a measurable advantage. So yeah, the better they are, the better the end games they have. It's really true. So we have g5 now on the board, which is actually a very good move for undermining that pawn. But can I just go g3? I would think that you know, maybe taking is not bad either, but like maybe just g3.
Yeah, capturing may weaken like the pawn structure if black ends up getting
Okay, so why just
yeah.
listen to us? Play g3.
I mean, it's like might as well make the game safe rather than
Yeah, it's just that kind of move that you make without thinking, and it's still like, you have a good position.
Oh yeah, and we have to take notice about the time difference. I mean, black has 50% more time than white, so white needs to
Yeah, but still I like
interact.
Cesaret's position a lot, because now the king march to d4 becomes even more obvious than it was before. Just get your king to a walk and it looks good.
Here b5 is just is probably the best move, right? Just play b5, create a pass pawn, but that does create a pass pawn for
black too, yeah.
right?
I mean, I'll just bring my king. I mean, that king needs to be in the action on d4. It's
Okay.
also could allow the rook to switch maybe to h1 at the appropriate moment, but yeah, white. I mean, white simply, I think, is lacking that concept of using his king as an attacking piece, because if he would simply be aware of that concept, I think, okay, finally he goes for it. Okay. Okay, so we're just calling it again, but okay, so king.
We have one game that already finished.
Oh, it finished the Fublandu one. Oh, yeah, the French one. That was looking quite ugly after the e5 pawn was hanging. So just having a quick look through it, black seems to, yeah, that h5, opening the h file was good. Yeah, black was just controlling the game from start to finish and made it. So this means I'll have to update the scoreboard. And by the way, can we still see the game?
Which game would you like to?
Yeah, I'll keep on this end game, because I think it's very interesting, like this one of Cesaret. So
Yeah, of course.
Fublandu won, so this means
Yeah, no trading.
0-1. No, wait, it's 1-0. Okay.
This endgame is quite tricky, but I do feel like there's a lot of.
Oh, no, I think it might just be a dead draw, because there are no weaknesses.
Yeah, especially after c4. Now white doesn't have like an isolated pawn or anything like that, so.
Yeah. Okay, so I just updated the Fublandu game on the scoreboard. We might have a draw here. I could also... Oh, bishop b6. Wait, what is going on? Okay, so maybe we can switch... Oh, another win. Q-Jacks. Okay, we were calling this one earlier. So that was actually maybe a very solid game by him in the Grand Prix attack. So it's just like he collected those central pawns that we were talking about. Yeah. And then he ended up, yeah, just bishop. That was just very clean, the whole thing. I'm going through this very quickly, but yeah, just a few pawns up for him. So I'll just leave the game, the side game, and I'll just try to add the other result.
Guys, we want to try. We wanted to try to get you guys to see like all of the opponents. Like we're focusing on a few specific games, but we want to give like everyone a chance to get on to the stream, because like why not? I mean, there's only 4 games, so we can sneak in to even some of the other games.
Yep, definitely. Okay, so Q-Jacks, I think I just updated that.
Yep.
Do we have Cesaret still playing? I think he drew, right?
Yep.
No, he's still playing. He's still playing, okay. Okay, so black is winning in the side game.
I think black is...
oh, black is now pushing it for a win, because he managed to outflank the king somehow. I have no idea how that happened, but black is suddenly pushing it for a win.
Surprised that white was going in that direction. I'm surprised that he didn't like stick around on like e2 and f2 areas, because that pawn on f4 is 100% weak.
Yeah, it looks like white simply lost track of the game.
But you know what? Like, I mean, in Blitz, that's what happens. Like, I mean, Black is just going to be pushing and hoping that White is going to lose by time. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, he might
that's
lose
just
by the
life.
position too here. That's the thing. I think
Yeah,
he
no, no.
just like he was
Now it is by.
he was like feeling very comfortable because he was pushing all the game and then lost sense of danger. So he just won now on time. But the position was very
I'm
tricky,
sorry.
anyways.
That was a very, very tricky game.
But
But
it
if
seems like it's
White,
not going to affect the result of the round, to be honest, because yeah,
nope.
looks like Softenzug just
Oh, I guess we're done. I didn't even
yeah,
realize that the
they're
game
done.
was.
Looks like Softenzug just crushed this round.
Yep. Yep. Microsoft, good job today. I'm so sorry about Coupang. I think you guys did really, really well today. Especially like there were a few upsets, right? With like a 600, beating a 1600 rated player.
No, that was maybe the
Um,
highlight of the day, to be honest.
yeah, yeah. And I mean, I was expecting personally, I was expecting worse for Coupang because, as I said, that Microsoft had a more of a consistent team. And what I mean by a consistent team is just that all of the team members were closer in level. But I'm really happy with the result of Coupang.
Yeah, I'm happy about the overall event. I mean, we've seen a bone cloud. We've seen some highly theoretical debates in the Karokan. I mean, there is a little bit of everything in this matches. So yeah, that's why I'm enjoying them, and yeah.
I'm definitely enjoying them because sometimes when you're watching like grandmaster tournaments, it's just like they're all playing for a draw. Like a lot of them, it's just they end up in a draw. But like these games are like so like fighting back and forth, and it's fun to see that.
Yeah, no, definitely. Again, pointing out the maybe highlight of the day when the 600 guy won against, I think it was Fu Blandu in that game. I think we could call that a swindle since the rook was already on c7, collecting some pawns with the nice concept of the windmill there. So yeah, he managed to swindle that one. Big shout out to him for that moment. So I don't know, are we supposed to just close the stream now, or are we getting any guests? Are we getting any guests from the players?
I wasn't hearing, but maybe next week we can get like one or two of the people
Oh, I
or
see.
one person from the team to talk about it. But it was really well played for both sides, and I wish luck to both teams because just because one of the teams is not doing well this round, there's so many rounds coming up. Microsoft is available. Sure, if you guys want, we can have one person drop into.
All right. By the way, I have no idea which overlay are we going to use for that, but maybe we can just have
Oh, no, no,
the
no, no,
sound.
no. They're just going to be on audio.
Oh, there's gonna
They're
be
just
on
going to be
audio.
on
Okay,
audio.
so how are you actually going to do that? Are we going to? Can they join our
Let me.
call on Discord?
Yeah, 1 second. I think we have to go into the CEA. Which Discord should we use to talk to Microsoft team member? Oh, I'm just asking Florian, who's
Yeah, I
organizing.
know. I thought maybe we can get a Florian interview. Maybe not yet.
Yep.
Maybe in the next one. Maybe in the playoffs.
1 second. Sai, good games today. Good games. Thanks for playing and got some quite some interesting games. Okay, he's not replying. How about I guess how about we for next week we can get, because I'm just not really getting any feedback by one of our organizers. So how about next week? We can kind of contact the teams before the match,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
guess,
yeah. Maybe we
they
can
are ready.
organize it. We can organize it better the next time. Yeah, maybe we can even set up something that we can get them on a video call.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. So I just wanted to say thank you to everyone who was watching. Please let us know, or let the organizer know what we could do to obviously make the stream better and more entertaining for you guys. But I mean, the games are entertaining, so
No, I think
that's the
it was a
main
great stream.
show.
So I don't know how to improve it, but I think it was a great stream. So so yeah, that
Yeah, and once
was.
again, good luck to the teams in your guys' next matches, and I hope to see you guys next week, same time, 10 a.m. PST or 1 p.m. Eastern, and
Or 8
for
p.m.
Alex,
Romanian time, yeah. We can also
yeah,
see you that time.
yeah, because we're commentating from two different sides of the world right now, but that's great with technology nowadays, right?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I hope all of you have an amazing day, and yeah, keep chessing.
All right.
Bye, guys.
See you. Oh, I'll use the end screen. All right, that's fancy.